watchtower stands above the quarry long after the machines have stopped. Floodlights remain on along the rim. Dust has settled across the cut stone. Nothing here prepares to move. The height does not demand attention. The words can remain distant, like wind crossing open ground without altering it. The quarry floor stretches wide below. Terraced walls descend in steady layers. Tire marks remain pressed into gravel. No vehicle crosses them. No engine turns. From the tower, railings frame the view. Metal bars remain cool. No hand grips them. The structure feels firm, unchallenged by silence. Lights along the quarry edge glow evenly, some brighter, some faint, all steady. Their beams do not sweep, they hold. A faint breeze moves through the tower. It does not shift dust. It does not carry sound. The air feels thin and calm. Time begins to loosen here. Minutes do not mark themselves. The height replaces the clock. Nothing presses forward. Below, pools of rainwater rest in shallow depressions. Their surfaces reflect pale light. No ripple completes itself. The water feels contained. The quarry walls rise in pale stone bands. Sharp edges, clean cuts. No shadow climbs them. Everything feels fixed in place. Inside the watchtower, a chair rests near the window. Its legs remain aligned. No one sits in it. The room feels prepared, but unused. A small radio lies silent on the desk. No signal breaks through. No static hums. It remains part of the space, without purpose tonight. Time spreads wider. Moments sit beside one another. No sequence forms. The pause feels sufficient. Gravel below absorbs every sound. Even silence feels softened. Nothing echoes up the walls. The depth feels insulated. The floodlights continue their steady glow. They do not dim. They do not brighten. Their presence feels neutral, unquestioned. A faint shift of air brushes past the tower, then settles. No movement follows. The night remains intact. No gate opens at the quarry entrance. No truck appears at the rim. No light approaches from the road. The boundary holds firm. The watchtower does not anticipate dawn. It does not prepare to close. It simply remains. Steady, contained. Stone terraces descend in quiet order. One level, then another, then another. The repetition feels calming, predictable. Time loosens further. Minutes lose weight. Presence replaces progression. The night feels wide and still. The radio remains silent. The chair remains empty. The railings remain cool. Each element holds its place. No signal announces change. No machinery restarts. Nothing resolves. The scene feels complete as it is. The watchtower remains over the quarry. The quarry remains carved into stone. night remains calm. Everything stays aligned, orderly, and undisturbed through the long hours before morning. The tower continues to overlook the quarry without change. No shadow shifts across the terraces. No sound rises from the gravel. The height holds its quiet position. Below, the carved walls remain pale and still. Edges stay sharp against the dark. No dust lifts from the ground. The stone feels settled, finished for the night. Lights around the rim keep their steady glow. They do not sweep. They do not fade. Their beams rest where they fall. Inside the tower, the empty chair remains near the glass. Its outline does not move. Its legs stay aligned with the floor. The room feels balanced and contained. The radio on the desk stays silent. No signal breaks through. No voice travels upward. It remains part of the stillness. Time loosens again at this height. Moments do not follow one another. They rest evenly across the open space. No direction forms. A faint draft brushes along the railings. Not enough to rattle them. Not enough to carry sound. Then it fades completely. Below, shallow pools reflect the floodlights. The surface holds the glow briefly, then releases it back to shadow. Nothing disturbs the water. The terraces descend in quiet order. Level after level, stone after stone. The repetition feels steady, unchanged. No gate opens at the quarry entrance. No vehicle approaches. No new light appears beyond the rim. The boundary remains firm. The tower does not anticipate morning. It does not prepare to descend. It simply remains upright, steady, reliable. Time spreads wider once more. Minutes lose their edges. Presence replaces movement. The pause feels complete. The railings stay cool. The chair stays empty. The radio stays silent. Each element holding its place. Below, gravel absorbs every small sound. Even silence feels softened. Nothing echoes back. The depth remains insulated. The watchtower continues to stand above the quarry. The quarry continues to rest in stone. The night continues to hold both. Everything remains aligned, quiet and undisturbed, as the long, dark hours carry on. The tower remains steady against the open sky. No light changes its tone. No shadow lengthens. The height keeps its quiet balance. Below, the quarry floor stays untouched. Tire marks remain pressed into gravel. No new line crosses them. The surface feels settled and complete. Floodlights continue to rest along the rim. Their beams do not wander. They hold the edges in soft definition. Nothing flickers. Inside the tower, the glass reflects faint light. Edges blur gently, then settle again. Nothing sharpens into focus. Time loosens further at this elevation. Moments stop forming sequence. They rest side by side. No direction presses forward. A small shift of air passes once across the railing. It does not cool the metal. It does not carry sound. Then it disappears. Below, the terraces remain pale in the glow. Layer upon layer, cut and left as they are. No shadow climbs them. No movement crosses the levels. The empty chair remains by the window, its outline unchanged, its position steady. The room feels anchored to the height. The radio on the desk remains silent. No signal forms, no static rises. It holds its quiet place. Time spreads evenly again. Minutes lose their weight. Presence replaces progression. The stillness deepens. No gate opens at the quarry entrance. No vehicle approaches from the road. No beam turns toward the rim. The boundary remains undisturbed. Gravel absorbs every faint sound. Even silence feels muted. Nothing echoes up the stone walls. The depth holds everything in place. The tower does not prepare to descend. It does not anticipate morning. It simply stands, balanced, contained. Floodlights continue. Stone continues. Air continues. Each element holding its role without demand. There is no signal of change, no ending forming, no beginning appearing. The scene holds its shape. The watchtower remains over the quarry. The quarry remains carved into still stone. The night remains wide and calm. Everything stays aligned, quiet and undisturbed, as the long, dark stretch continues. The height remains steady as the night deepens. No new light appears along the rim. No shadow grows beyond its place. The quarry keeps its carved silence. The floodlights continue their quiet glow. Edges stay soft against the stone. Nothing brightens, nothing fades. The balance feels complete. Below, the gravel floor rests without change. Terraces hold their layered lines. No dust rises. No sound travels upward. The depth feels insulated from movement. Inside the tower, glass reflects only faint light. The empty chair remains near the window. The radio stays silent on the desk. Each object holds its position without effort. Time no longer feels divided. Moments settle beside one another. They do not lead anywhere. The pause feels sufficient. A light breeze brushes the railing once more. Not enough to stir the air. Not enough to carry a sound. Then it is gone. The tower does not anticipate dawn. It does not prepare to close. It simply remains upright and still. Reliable. Contained. The quarry remains carved into quiet stone. The floodlights remain steady. The night remains wide. Everything holds its place, aligned and undisturbed. undisturbed as the final silence